What's up, Motocross Action? Today we're at Cahuilla Creek doing something a little bit different with Kawasaki, as they just introduced their 2021 KX250X and also the KX450X, and for the first time since 2009, Kawasaki is back in the off-road market. The KX450 was discontinued after the 2009 season, and 2012 marked the last year that Kawasaki won a National Works Championship with Taylor Robert on the West Coast. Now, Kawasaki's back in the off-road game with the Precision Concepts team running West Coast off-road, and also with the Babbitt's team racing in GNCC's and more East Coast off-road series. Kawasaki wanted to offer their customers an off-road model of the KX450, and that's where the KX450X was born. However, after introducing their KX450XC model, Kawasaki decided to eliminate the C off the name and just go with KX450X to limit confusion at the dealers when buyers are looking to compare their KX450X to some of the other brands. So let's break it down to the nitty-gritty. What's the difference between the KX450X Off-Road Edition when you compare it to the KX450 Motocross model? The Off-Road Edition comes with softer suspension, with softer spring rates and valving, the Dunlop tires which switched out from MX33 tires to AT81 off-road tires. The KX450X comes with a skid plate guard, comes with a rear brake disc guard, a kickstand, updated gearing, and also an 18-inch rear wheel as compared to the 19-inch that you find on the Motocross models. The forks dropped down a spring rate. They went down from the 5.0 spring to the 4.8 springs, and they also got softer valving. The shock did the same, as it has a 52 Newton-millimeter shock spring instead of the 54 shock that you find on the Motocross edition. Additionally, the KX450X comes with all the same upgrades that the KX450 got for the 2021 year. The clutch has a new wider diameter, as it went up from a 139 millimeter clutch to a 146 millimeter clutch. They took out the judder spring for 2021 and replaced it with a standard fiber plate, and also added a Belleville washer spring. The clutch basket is the same style as it was in 2019 and 2020, but it's just a little bit bigger this year to give a stronger engagement and also to increase durability. Additionally, the fiber plates have new friction material, and they're also segmented at angles just to help with oil flow in the clutch as well. So these are all things that were added on the KX450, also cross over to the KX450X to increase durability and work with the new hydraulic clutch that was added in 2019. Continuing with the updates for 2021, like the standard KX450 Motocross model we tested a couple months ago, the KX450X also comes with a new Renthal 1 1/8 inch fat bar without the crossbar, so this actually helps with flex. A lot of people get it confused. They think that the thicker handlebar will actually have less flex and be more rigid at the hands, but it actually is able to flex more because it doesn't have the crossbar. That crossbar definitely adds rigidity, and you can notice it on the track. As for the gearing, Kawasaki went up a tooth on the rears. They went from a 1350 ratio on the KX450 to a 1351 ratio for the off-road model, just to give it a little more pull off the bottom end. And as far as the ECU mapping, the rest of the engine, the exhaust, it's all the same as the KX450, so you're not going to find specific off-road mapping. You're also not going to find a spark arrestor in the exhaust, and the engine is exactly the same as well. So this bike isn't a whole lot different from the KX450 model that we test on the motocross track, but the 18-inch rear wheel, softer suspension, kickstand, extra protection at the skid plate and rear brake rotor guard, those things are added just to give you a little more of an off-road feel and give you a little more comfort when riding out on the trails and in the tighter sections. Some people might be wondering, you're Motocross Action, why would you be testing an off-road model? Well, here at Motocross Action, we see value in the KX450X and other models like it because we see some riders that want to ride the track one weekend and hit the trails the next weekend. For today, Kawasaki had us out to Cahuilla Creek. We're riding a little bit on the vet track. We're also riding out in the trails, doing single track, rocks, different stuff like that, and we had a lot of fun riding on this bike. The suspension is definitely a lot softer, and I notice it on the motocross track, but I do know that there will be some riders who are lighter weight, slower in speeds that'll actually like the softer settings even on a motocross track. My first impression on the KX450 was that I was a little bit bummed that they didn't add off-road specific mapping for the new model. They do run the exact same mapping that you find on the KX450 model, but they come with the standard stock coupler, the aggressive coupler, and also the more mellow coupler. So if you are looking for a little more mellow power band, you could throw on that mellow coupler and get a little more traction on the bottom end and also just mellow out the power for the tighter, more technical trails. So I was surprised that they didn't change the mapping, but at the same token, the KX450 is already a fairly mellow machine. It's a quick revving machine, but it's mellow. It doesn't have a hard hit on the bottom, and it's pretty easy to control on the tighter trails. So that wasn't a huge issue for today. As far as the 18-inch rear wheel goes, I really like the extra rubber that we're able to have on there. With the smaller diameter rim, you're able to have more rubber and more flex in the rear wheel, which takes away some of the harsh feeling going over the bumps. So that was a plus for me. The softer suspension was really nice going over the trails and also hitting the chop on the tighter trails as well. As for the updated and larger 2021 hydraulic clutch on the KX450X, I really appreciated it. We've been riding on this same clutch for the last few months with our KX450, and we haven't had any issues with it yet. As for the KX450X, today we're doing a lot of stop and go, a lot of tight technical trails, and so far we didn't have any issues with it. So excited to continue to put more time on that. As for the rest of the bike, the bar mounts are exactly the same as they were last year and the year before and the year before that. And for us, they turn so easily. As soon as you tip over, you're going to twist the bar mounts. Yes, because they are so easy to twist, they're also easy to twist back into the stock position, but that is something that I wish and I hope that Kawasaki will update next year. As for the electric start on the KX450X, man, that thing is so nice. On the motocross track, yeah, electric starts are awesome and we really appreciate them, but I appreciate it even more on the off-road sections. When you're hitting the tighter technical trails, say you stall it or you fall over on an off-camber corner, you really don't want to kick the bike. It was a lot more challenging to have to kick over a 450. Today, just pull in the clutch, hit the button, ready to go again. So electric start is a double thumbs up from MXA on the KX450X. The 2021 KX450X retails for $9,599, and this is a $200 price increase over the motocross specific KX450. And with that extra $200, you're buying softer suspension, an 18-inch rear wheel, a skid plate, a rear brake rotor disc guard, and also a kickstand. So with these upgrades, you are paying a little bit extra with that extra $200, but you're getting a bike that is more specific to tighter trails and more forgiving riding out in the desert or riding in the trees. So when deciding between a KX450 and a KX450X, you really got to take into account your weight, your speed and skill level, and also where you ride. If you're riding at the motocross track, we would recommend a KX450. If you're riding a little bit of both motocross and also off-road, desert, in the woods, and you're maybe a lighter guy or a slower skill level, the KX450X is going to give you more forgiving suspension, that 18-inch rear wheel that's nicer on the trails, and also a little bit extra protection with skid plate and rear brake rotor disc guards. And it really comes down to where you're going to be riding it and what you're going to feel most comfortable on. So as always, today was just our first impressions on the KX450X, and we're excited to continue to put more time on this. The MXA Wrecking Crew, we have a wide range of test riders, tall, skinny, fat, big, small, slow, fast, we got them all. So I'm excited. I know we're gonna have some of our test riders that are gonna really appreciate the softer suspension, even on the motocross track. So we're gonna keep putting time on this bike. And there's even talks that I'll be racing one of the off-road events on this bike as well. So as always, make sure to stay tuned to motocrossactionmag.com for the latest news, race results, bike tests, product tests, and more. And also, to stay up to date with the latest MXA videos, you can click that subscribe button on YouTube just so you get a notification whenever we upload a brand new video.